The result is empty, the cause was empty as well. Space itself is neither effect nor cause, and it is the same for God and the subtle atoms, etc. If they were eternal, they would not produce the transitory. If the past has no defined nature, neither do the future and the present. In the three times there is not a single dharma that is truly non-empty. That is absolute emptiness. 2. Absolute emptiness does not lead to renouncing nirvana. Question. If everything in the three times is empty, including the subtle atoms, if nothing has ever existed for the least moment, that is indeed very frightening. In view of the bliss of the trances and the absorptions, the sages renounce mundane bliss, and in view of the bliss of nirvana, they renounce the bliss of the trances and absorptions. If in this absolute emptiness there is not even the bliss of nirvana, on what dharma would they then rely to renounce nirvana? Answer. Some people attached to egotism distinguish the characteristics of unity and multiplicity in dharmas. It is these people who experience fear. Thus the Buddha said, "In foolish worldly people the big subject of fear is the non-existence of the self and the non-existence of the mind." Furthermore, it is the conditioned dharmas dependent on the three times which, by the fact of their impurities, constitute subjects that bring about attachment. Nirvana itself is the cessation of thirst. Why would one seek to renounce nirvana? Finally, the bhikkhu who violates the four grave offenses is immoral absolutely and is incapable of attaining bodhi. The person who commits the 5 sins of immediate retribution is closed absolutely to the 3 good destinies. The person who takes the commitment of the Sravakas cannot become Buddha absolutely. It is the same for absolute emptiness. This absolute emptiness shows no exception in all the dharmas. 3. Absolute emptiness does not lead to any reality. 1. Falsity does not create truth. Question. It is not correct that all dharmas are absolutely empty. Why? The dharmas of the 3 times and the 10 directions lead to a nature of things, a subsistence of things that necessarily must be true. It is because there is an emptiness of dharmas that the other dharmas are false. If there were no emptiness of dharmas, there would not be any false dharmas either. This truth is absolute emptiness. Answer. Nothing does not lead to a truth of dharmas. Why? 1. If such an emptiness existed, one of 2 things. It would either be 1. Conditioned or 2. Unconditioned. Suppose it were conditioned, this hypothesis has already been refuted in regard to the emptiness of the conditioned. Suppose it were unconditioned, this hypothesis also has been refuted in regard to the emptiness of the unconditioned. This reality would be either 1. Mundane or 2. Supramundane. Suppose it were mundane, this hypothesis has already been refuted by the emptiness of inner dharmas, the emptiness of outer dharmas, the emptiness of inner and outer dharmas and great emptiness. Suppose it were supramundane, this has been refuted by the emptiness of the absolute. And dharmas of form or formless dharmas, impure or pure, are likewise empty. 2. Moreover, dharmas being absolutely empty, this absolute emptiness itself is empty. Emptiness being nothing whatsoever, there is no interdependence between falsity and truth. 3. Finally, absolute emptiness destroys all dharmas to the point where there is nothing left over. That is why it is called absolute emptiness. If the least bit remained, it would not be called absolute. To claim as you do that something must exist because of interdependence between falsity and truth does not hold. 2. Dharmas are empty even in their causes and conditions. Question. Dharmas are not completely empty. Why? Dharmas coming from causes and conditions are empty, but their causes and conditions are not themselves empty. Thus, it is as a result of a complex of causes and conditions, namely, the beams, that there is a house. The house is empty but the beams are not. Answer. 1. The causes and conditions also are empty because they are indeterminate. Take, for example, the son of a father. Insofar as he is born from a father, he is called son. Insofar as he engenders a son, he is called father. 2. Furthermore, the ultimate causes and conditions are without support. Thus the mountains, rivers, trees and categories of beings rest upon the earth rests upon the water. The water rests upon the wind and the wind rests upon space, but space does not rest on anything. If there is no point of support at the beginning, there is none at the end either. This is why we know that all dharmas are absolutely empty. 3. Magician and magical object likewise are empty. Question. That is not so. Dharmas must have a root. Thus in magical transformations, the fictitious object is false but the magician is not empty. Answer. Foolish worldly people, seeing that the fictitious object does not last for long, say that it is false, but as the magician lasts for a long time, they say that he is real. Saintly individuals themselves see that indeed the magician is born from a complex of the karmic causes and conditions of his previous lives and by accumulating good dharmas in his present life. He has obtained a magical power by means of which he makes fictitious creations. In a later chapter of the Prajnaparamita Sutra, it is said, there are 3 kinds of fictitious creation. Fictitious creation of passion, fictitious creation of action and fictitious creation of dharma. This is why we know that the magician himself is empty as well. 4. Nothing is taken away from emptiness. Question. 1. Things without solidity not being true, they are necessarily empty. But solid things and real dharmas cannot be empty. Thus the great earth and Mount Sumeru, the water of the great ocean, the sun and the moon, the lightning bolt and other substances are real solid dharmas and therefore cannot be empty. Why? A. The earth and Mount Sumeru last until the end of the kalpa. B. Whereas the rivers dry up, the ocean is always full. C. The sun and the moon revolve in the sky without ceasing. 2. The things seen by worldly people, being false and unreal, are certainly empty, but the things grasped by the saints, namely, suchness, the fundamental element, the limit of reality and nirvana are certainly true dharmas. Why do you say they are absolutely empty? Besides, if conditioned dharmas, as coming from causes and conditions, are not true, unconditioned dharmas which themselves do not come from causes and conditions must be true. Why do you say they are absolutely empty? Answer. Being indeterminate notions, solidity and non-solidity, are both completely empty. How is that? What one person considers to be solid, another person considers to be non-solid. A. People consider lightning to be solid, but Sakradevendra, who holds it in his hand like a man holding a stick, does not consider it to be solid. Moreover, it is because we do not know how to break lightning that we think it is solid. But if we know that it is enough, set it down on the shell of a tortoise and strike it with the horn of a wild sheep to break it, then we know that it is not solid. B. A man, whose height is only 7 feet, thinks that the great ocean is deep, but when Rahu Asuraraja stands up in the great ocean, his knees come up out of the surface of the water. With his 2 hands he hides the summit of Sumeru, and he looks down on Sudarsana, the city of the Trayastrimsa gods. Rahu clearly does not consider the sea as being deep.